Good morning everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sailing Melody. In this episode there's quite a lot of this, and also I end up going up here. Before all of that, I just want to say to you, thank you very, very much for watching. Please stay tuned and watch the episode all the way to the end, because it makes a huge difference to the Google, YouTube metrics when people watch all the way through. So thank you so much for watching. We make these videos for you guys, and sorry we've not been quite as regular as normal with our episodes over the last month, really. We've just had a lot going on since we've got back in Wales. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for bearing with us. And thank you especially to our patrons who support us. If you do want to become a patron supporter, there's a link in the description that you can click, and you can support us through Patreon or coffeeing to keep the videos rolling. So we're just carrying on with life as normal, and it's really you guys watching YouTube and Patreon and coffee that kind of keep the YouTube channel going. So thank you very much to everybody who watches, likes, comments, subscribes and supports us through Patreon, coffee, PayPal and any other means. So all those links in the description. So cheers guys, I hope you enjoy the video. This U-berth kind of seating arrangement, I've done lots of iterations of this over the years. This is like a little mattress up here. It's one of the original kind of Lee berths, and we've kind of moved the seat backs back to make these seats deeper, so that's not really big enough for an adult, you know, but it's great for when we want to put Alaska down, you know, not underway, not when we're sailing, don't worry people, but you know, put her there and she's safe and she can't roll off. But one of the issues is the fact that the seat fronts and sides themselves are just rotten, and I've never really turned my attention to the interior of this boat. I did the floorboards a few years ago because they were really sorry and they were going to get really bad if I didn't look at them quickly. Now the floor sole boards are solid, thick solid teak and holly, so they were worth kind of, let's get them sorted and protected. But the seat fronts are just crappy plywood covered in veneer, you know, they're like teak veneered plywood. But because when we got the boat it was kind of half full of water, the veneers are all rotten and peeling, and the plywood itself, yeah, it's dried out and it's not rotten, but it's kind of just dirty and grubby. I've made new seat tops for underneath these cushions, so they're all done. But I want to do something more with the kind of carcasses if I can, and I want to do something that can convert this into a double, because the day is coming when Jack will insist on having that aft cabin quite legitimately for himself and not wanting his toddler brother in there. And the reason is Ollie and Jack obviously adore each other and get on really well, but Ollie goes to bed at 7, and that means Jack's kind of banished from his bedroom because he can't go in there and, you know, carve and do whatever, whittle wood and use his drill and, you know, things like that if Ollie's asleep in the same room. So he just kind of has to, you know, vacate once Ollie's asleep. So I think the plan is going to be that Alaska and Ollie will have the forepeak together. We'll leave it as a double mattress, so it's for sort of versatility, but they'll have a lee cloth in between them, and they'll have the zip up pouches like Ollie's got, the zip up kind of protective little cocoon tent things that Melissa's made in the aft cabin. Jack will have the aft cabin to himself, and Melissa and I most of the time will just sleep out here, which is much better when you're on passage anyway, because it means that you can sort of see the helm. It's cooler, it's warmer, and it means that we can kind of sit up and watch telly once the kids have gone to bed. It's sort of in our bedroom. That's where, you know, one day we might look at a bigger boat, but I don't think so at any time soon. So my sort of plan for this one is to do something with the carcasses of these seats, and to do something with turning this into a double and looking at the way that might work. So I'm kind of grouping my projects on the boat now into sort of one-day builds, multi-day builds and big projects. So the big projects would be, you know, stuff that you would need, Melissa and the kids would need to move out for a fortnight for me to do. The multi-day builds are the stuff that I can do if they go away to visit Melissa's dad for a long weekend, and the one-day builds are stuff that I can do, you know, fairly quickly. And this should be a one-day build, but it might turn into a 1.5 or a 2-day build. So that is my plan for today. Okay, case in point, here's the veneers that I've taken off. And when I say veneers, what they are is thin, like 3mm plywood with teak veneer on, but they're just, you know, absolute garbage. So they're scrap. These pieces of wood aren't too bad. However, they've been on the boat forever and ever and ever, and they just smell. They've picked up donkey's years, well, 50 years worth of diesel fumes and sweat and, you know, all kinds of grime and grub. And they stink, and they're dirty and they're grubby. More to the point, they're glassed in. Now, they're not structural. These are purely cosmetic, okay? So if I remove, it's not like removing a bulkhead, this is just a seat. And the reason that they're glassed in is to stop them flying around when, you know, in a seaway, and they won't, you know. I can't move that. But look at the quality of the fiberglassing. It's all delaminating at the bottom because it was just done with pretty basic stuff. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to put new wood. And one of the problems of living on a boat while you're doing this kind of work, I'm tempted to do an UMA. Now I'm probably not going to. And what I mean by that is, what I would love to do now, we love this boat, we've moved aboard, we've made it our own, it's full of amazing high-tech kit, batteries and this and that and the other. But we've patched her up. What we've done is we've been sort of patching her up as we've gone along and fixing things on the go, which is fine. And it's very serviceable and the boat's fine. But what I would love to do, deep down, is to gut this boat right back to the bulkheads. I wouldn't remove the bulkheads like Uma did, but gut it. Keep sailing it, keep it in the water and keep sailing, and just make it super lightweight, super leggera while I work on it, and do like a full-blown super fandango refit. You know, and the only timber that stays in here are the main bulkheads and, you know, the floor, the sole boards, you know, and everything else gets replaced. And, you know, I wouldn't be throwing away all the lovely teak, but I'd get it off the boat, the solid teak, and you know, cleaned and polished and made nice. And all of this stuff, which is basically just crappy plywood anyway. It's not crappy plywood, it's marine ply, and it's very good quality. It's probably better quality than what you can buy today, but it's dirty and old, and it stinks, and it's full of 50 years worth of dirt. So it needs to, and it's not properly glassed in. So, you know, in one sense I could just, well, re-veneer that and, you know, cut it down and fix it up. But again, it's putting a sticking plaster on, isn't it? The right thing to do, you know, the right thing to do is rip that out, put some new timber in. And what I was saying was, what I want to do then is, once I've cut the timber and put it in, is I want to fully encapsulate that timber in glass cloth and epoxy, so that it's like mega, you know, protected, and it'll last forever and ever and ever and ever. But I can't do that, A, because I haven't got the glass cloth and epoxy here, and I just can't afford to buy it at the minute, and B, because Melissa and the kids are back tomorrow. And so all of this has got to be kind of back in a living state by tomorrow lunchtime. Plus I've got other stuff that I want to do today. There's loads that I want to do. So I've got to kind of piece this together again, cut the pieces of wood, screw them together with the intention of taking it apart and fiberglassing it. And yeah, in the ideal world, what we'd do is get a static caravan somewhere, or a camper van, do some van lifing and sail this boat, but live in the camper van or live in the static, while I completely gut this and put everything in our little lockup, because we've got a little lockup now, and sort of rebuild it from scratch. Do what kind of Uma have done, do what Odd Life did, and, you know, a load of the other channels that have gutted their boat. Because with Melissa's dad, as you know, we're staying in North Wales for a little while, you know, until we've sorted out his care and, you know, see how he gets on. And we don't want to stop sailing. We're going to carry on sailing as much as we possibly can. So I don't want to just lift the boat out, put it on a cradle and work on it. Not really, anyway, because I want to sail. But how well would this boat sail if there was nothing in it? Anyway, I'm waffling. I'll remove these boards. That's going to be a mission. If you're wondering why I'm not using a grinder or a oscillating multi-tool to do this, it's because they're both broken. You remember when we came up the Bristol Channel and we got a load of water over the foredeck, and the forepeak hatch seal failed. The hatch didn't break, but the seal failed, and it let a load of water in. That water made its way into some of the lockers, and in one of those lockers was some of my battery tools. So battery grinder, foobar, excuse my language, battery multi-oscillating tool, that's dead. So back to hand tools, but that's okay. I'll get some of those eventually in the future when I've got a bit more cash, but at the moment I'm just cleaning up. So back to hand tools. That area is now sanded pretty decent. As I say, next time Melissa and the kids are away, I'll pull it back out. So I'm only going to screw it together for now, because I want to glass it in like it was originally, but do it properly. I mean, I think it was probably done properly originally, but it's just very old, you know what I mean? So I'm going to use some modern weave and some epoxy rather than polyester and chopped strand. So I'll glass that in. But before I glass it in, each piece I cut, I'm going to fully encapsulate so that it's, you know, completely watertight. So I think that's the right way to do it, but I can't do that today. So I know that some of you will be screaming at the telly or at your screens going, Andy, why don't you just do things properly the first time? I can't do it. If I can't leave the lounge like that, can I? For Melissa and the kids to come home, and we live on the boats. So it's killing my jam, this. I'm listening to Stevie Wonder. So my next thing is to cut these panels, but before I do that I just want to show you something. Now this isn't an ad read, don't panic, don't click off. This isn't an ad read, but it's something that's been sent to us to test, and I'm not going to do the advert for it, but I just want to show it to you because it's really, really cool. I'll show it to you properly in a few weeks' time, but this is something that's been sent to us that's coming up in a few weeks. This is our little workshop, and I'm not going to show it to you now because there's going to be a big reveal on that, but have a look at this. This is the thing that we've been sent. It's a CNC machine. It's called the Makera Carvera Air, and if you don't know what a CNC machine is, CNC has many meanings, but it's computer node control. And it's basically, you know those Dremels that you get, like a Dremel multi-tool that you can drill and you can engrave and you can do all of that. It's basically like a super heavy duty, super fandango one of those. So if you imagine this bit spinning at 2 trillion billion miles an hour, and then you can clamp work to this bed, and this bed moves backwards and forwards, and this moves left and right and up and down. There's loads of things on the boat that are broken. Door handles, you're never going to get those door handles again. Well, I can mill them out of aluminium. I can copy them and make them so that they match the original ones. And I can make really nice custom parts and engrave stuff. So you can do laser engraving, you can do milling in aluminium, brass, plastic, wood, and even steel. Maybe at the end of the episode I'll give it a test run, because it's Jack's birthday tomorrow, so it'd be really cool to make him something like bespoke, if I can. I mean, I might not be able to get au fait with how it works before tomorrow, but if I can, I'd like to make something for Jack for his birthday tomorrow. He's got other presents as well. And now it started raining. I'll have to get all my tools and carry on inside. It's okay, I can work in there, but it's way more difficult and it's way more mess, because here I can sweep up quite easily. I mean, of course I clear up my mess after me, if you're wondering. I sweep everything up and I bring the vacuum cleaner out and clean up the pontoon, my finger pontoon. But in there, it's just so much more of a pain. I've finally made it to the top of the mast. We've got a clear, still day, so I've kind of jumped on the opportunity. There's several things I want to do. I'm going to inspect the wind anemometer, because it's always been temperamental. It's been temperamental for a good while. And I think it's just the connection up here. I've got to get that working, because we've got something to install that Predict Wind have sent us, which is like a clever computer that tells us what the wind and the weather is doing, but it also needs to get the data from our anemometer so that it can calculate things and tell our boat tell us what to do with our boat. The other thing I'm going to do is make a template of the top of the mast so that I can make a nice new mast top plate to mount stuff on. So we've got a lovely piece of equipment, that CNC machine, and I thought, rather than cobble something together, I've got time now to make a template and then design something in Fusion 360 to hold the masthead light and the VHF and all of that stuff really, really nicely. So first of all, let's have a look at the anemometer. So here we are. Here is the anemometer. Please don't let me drop this. They're terribly expensive. So this is the anemometer, and if you look, the pins on the end are all gummed up and corroded. They're not corroded, they've just got like mank on them, green mank. So the other thing I want to do while I'm up here, there's several things I want to do. When I got to the top of this mast last time, I noticed that there were a whole load of cables all tangled in here from many previous owners and, you know, installations. So I had to open up the access hole in the top here to remove those, which I've done, and that's fine. But what it means now is I'm going to make a cover to go over the top of this to hold the new mast headlight, the VHF, and various other things, and it'll also cover up all these holes to stop water coming down there, because obviously when it rains there's a little bit of water even if you tape it up. But to run a new cable, I've got a piece of equipment called a fish tape. So this is called a fish tape, and it's basically a stiff nylon cable that's long enough to go down the whole of the inside of the mast, and I can push it down and wiggle it around, and hopefully we can get a cable down to the bottom of the mast. One of the issues that I think we've got with this mast is, because it's quite old, the aluminium's fine, but I think it's lined with like a polystyrene foam, and over the years that's kind of come away from the edges of the mast extrusion, and in certain places it's blocking the path of cables getting through. Now it's only polystyrene, so it's not particularly strong, but this will probably poke through it, but a normal electrical cable wouldn't. So that's my next job, and once we've done that, we're in a position now to run new cables, which will be great. Here we go. Right, complete failure. Something is blocking it from going down. The only cable I've got left in the mast is the one for the anemometer itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back down. I'm going to attach the fish tape very securely to the anemometer cable, and then I'm going to pull this one up and hope it doesn't come apart. If it does, then we are in a world of trouble. It's a good job we're not going anywhere anytime soon. Right, so there's that. Oh, the other thing I want to do while I'm up here is make this paper template. Right. Now, I did manage to get those saloon seats sorted out in time for Melissa and the kids to come back. So there's now a pull-out section, so it turns into a double, which is spiffy. But I still need to fiberglass them and cloth them, so you're going to see bare plywood there for a little while if you've got your eyes peeled, because I can't really do the fiberglassing work with the family at home. Well, I can't at all, so it'll be bare plywood until next time Melissa goes to see her dad and they're away for a few days, and then I can tackle the fiberglassing side of it, because I don't want to paint them, because you can't really fiberglass then, you know, glass, cloth and resin over paint. So that's just going to have to stay as it is for a couple of weeks at least. So that's just going to have to stay as it is for a couple of weeks. But now back to this. Right, it's the next day. It's quite strong wind, so I'm not sure how much you're going to hear off this mic. This one is just so I can talk to Melissa as we try and get this cable back up through the mast. Then I'm going to try to pull that wire up I've got it sewn onto the fish tape, so it's actually sewn on with thread. I was talking to Peter, who's my dentist, who's one of our viewers. Peter, thank you for all the work you've done on my teeth. And he said, don't bother with just tape, sew it on, and I think that's right. Oh, it's actually snowing now. Yeah, it's snowing up here. Can I pull this cable? Are you in the saloon? As I'm pulling, what's happening? Oh. Can you... Okay. Okay, so can you feed it in as I'm pulling it, kind of, just so that there's no resistance? See if I can get the fish tape through. I've also noticed, look, there's a horrible joint at the top of this cable, so that might be part of the problem as well. Right, we're going. We did. It's just so demanding physically. It's yeah, just a few flakes. And yeah, probably not far off. Fish tape's out. Yeah, so I'll pull it through until there's still plenty left, top and bottom. We've got our fish tape out. That means that we can actually do this job. Oh, such a relief. The next step will be very easy. How much is left down there? A lot. So just until we get back to this, I'm going to see this big hole here, and these I'm going to put a bin bag, which looks a bit rubbish, but I can't think of a better way to do this temporarily. So we'll put that on. Yep. I'm going to CNC a whole new top for this. Right, I'm going to turn the camera off now because I need to tie this on and you're in the way. So I did get to grips a little bit with the CNC machine, and I've made several things. I've made a little slate engraving with the Sailing Melody logo. Not sure if you can see that. That needs some refinement, but it's on Welsh blue slate, so I might make a whole load of these and sell them because I think they'd be really cool. And I've also made, this is awesome. This is the whole of Snowdonia. I'll put that on the table to show you. But this is the whole of Snowdon mountain range. So this is the Llanberis Pass, this is Snowdon itself, and that's 3D engraved, sorry, 3D milled in mahogany. So that's an awesome thing. And then for Jack, I've made this, which is R2-D2. Move that out of the way, it's really cool. So I've engraved the plastic and cut that out on the milling machine. And then this is a milled acrylic base. And I've milled the aluminium switch for the end, and I don't know if you can see, but when I touch the switch, if I can do it with one hand, the LEDs themselves, I can't grip it with one hand, will anyway, I can't do it with one hand, but they fade out and fade in. Are you going to do it for me? It looks really cool. So that's R2-D2. And Sailing Melody logo on slate, that needs work, and a relief for Snowdonia. So I could even start doing like wherever your boat is moored, I could use the latitude and longitude and do the harbour where your boat is if you want, if people are interested in that kind of thing. So it's quite cool. So yeah, that's not the kind of full show of the Makeera. That's just a kind of, oh look, I've got a new toy. I hope you've enjoyed the episode anyway. There's quite a bit going on, and as you can see, we're sort of got lots of different projects. We've also got another huge project that we're thinking of working on. It's not cast in stone. We're not going to tell you what it is because it's not a definite yet. It might not happen at all. But if it does, it will be the biggest project that we've ever taken on in our whole lives. And it will be extremely exciting. So we're working on that in the background as well. And with that said, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to our patrons, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.